What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? AJ Good here at the House of Masks, and in today's video we are doing a full-on track-by-track review of Slipknot's new album, We Are Not Your Kind. Now, I did a first thoughts review on this a while back, basically a short review where I'd listened to the album through once and given you guys my first thoughts. For some reason, a lot of people couldn't grasp that concept.
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
I clearly stated when the video began that this was not a full-on track-by-track review, and not to confuse it as such, but rather that video was a short, first-time listen, first thoughts review.
Flashback.
And I am here to give you my first thoughts on the album. Don't confuse this with a full-on album review, because these are literally just my first thoughts upon my first listen. But I do plan on doing a full review of the entire album when it comes out on Friday. I don't know when that review will be up, but I do plan on doing that in the future, where I'll cover every single track.
End of flashback.
But why did you title it a review if it's not a review? I never said that it wasn't a review. It was a review. It was my first thoughts review. It was a really quick, really short, really simple video where I express my first thoughts based upon my first listen. Now that we've got that out of the way, I can get on to my actual track-by-track review. So first off, I want to state that I stand by everything that I said in that original video, and if anything, I've actually come to enjoy the album more than I did the first time. And I also want to state that this album is more than likely going to become the most loved and the most hated Slipknot album of all time. Some people just aren't going to understand it, and I'm fine with that because I understand it. And I really, really enjoy that. So we've wasted enough time already. Let's just jump on into this and break this album down track by track, starting with Insert Coin. Slipknot has almost always had great openers that aren't really songs, they're just like layers and layers of weird noise. Openers like the opening to Sick, or as the title calls it, 742617000027, or Iowa's 515, and even the Gray Chapter have this great song full of strange noises with Corey yelling over the top of it, and this intro is no different in the sense that it's just a bunch of sporadic noise, but there is something different about it because this may be the prettiest intro. The track is called Insert Coin, and you can definitely get some sort of arcade or carnival style vibe from it with what sounds like a blinking sign or a flashing sign that would read something similar to insert coin, like to start the game or to start the ride, just insert your coin and we're good to go. And eventually there's this distorted wailing music that sounds like it's coming from a tilt-a-whirl, but there are also these little tiny glimmering sounds and they're like falling down, and it really just reminds me of like glitter or glass in the sun. And I know that sounds super fucking weird out of context, but I'm telling you, if you listen to that track and you don't hear sparkles, then we must be listening to a different song. Insert Coin is a good start to this album, for sure. Moving on, Unsainted. Oh, Unsainted. We all know Unsainted. The first time I heard this, I wasn't crazy about it, but it quickly grew on me, and even the stuff that I complained about the first time became stuck in my head, and now we're here. I will say that my absolute favorite part of this track is the opening from Corey's first verse. The lyric itself and the delivery are just mwah. I'm just weathering a rough patch, another villain with an itch to scratch. I don't know why, I just really fucking enjoy that. Like, that one speaks to me for sure. But yeah, all in all, super catchy song. I could definitely see why it is a single and why it is on the radio. Next up, Birth of the Cruel. I love that this one starts out with samples and keg shots. Corey's vocals and the vocal pattern that he chooses in the verses reminds me of something, but I just can't fucking figure out what. I cannot remember for the life of me, but since I heard that song the first time, I've been trying to figure it out. And there's nothing, but it definitely reminds me of something. I definitely like how big and intense the chorus screams are, quickly followed by some scratching by Sid. Something that I thought was cool was that there seems to be some sort of like Morse code right after the chorus, and I have no idea what it says, but I would love to know. So if any of you guys are familiar with Morse code and can figure that one out, make sure to drop it down in the comments, because I'm sure that I'm not the only one that's curious.
Then I figure God must be a little bi-curious himself.
But yeah, this song is a slow yet aggressive burner, and I think it makes a solid track. Oh, here's a good one. Death Because of Death. This one's gonna be controversial, and I've seen more shit talked about this song online than any of the others from this album, and honestly, I don't get it. I mean, I know why people are complaining, I just disagree. They saw the track list come out way before the album, and they saw the title, Death Because of Death, and thought that they were just gonna get a fucking church burner of a song. But instead, they got this short interlude, and I'm gonna be honest, I like the interludes on this album as much as I like the actual songs, and this one's a good one. It's short and creepy and simple, and it just works, and I like it. Sorry. Nero Forte, still my fucking favorite song on the album. This one just doesn't get old. Once again, that high-pitched, poppy chorus that leads straight into Corey frantically screaming is fucking gold. So I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on this song because I did jerk it off pretty good in the First Thoughts video, but it's still definitely my favorite song as a whole on this album. Critical Darling. This one took me a while to get into, but one time I was listening to it and it just clicked. It's fast-paced, it's heavy, it's definitely a Slipknot song. The chorus and the pre-chorus will definitely get stuck in your head. Corey's chorus really reminds me of Stone Temple Pilots for some reason. Anyone else? No? Just me? Okay. Anyways, one of my favorite lines from this album lies deep in this song, and it's the, "I only wish you could picture a future that doesn't resemble your crazy invention." Pretty lit, bruh. Liar's Funeral. This is probably my least favorite, or tied for least favorite song on the album. I don't really have anything negative to say about it per se, and there are definitely parts that I like, but at the end of the day, this one just doesn't do it for me the way that the rest of the songs on the album do. There's an acoustic intro, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, I just don't like it for this song. But once the acoustic build-up ends, the song takes a turn for the better. Never trust the ones beside you, you know just as much as I do, and chants of burn, burn, burn the liar are driven deep into your brain by Corey, and I do genuinely enjoy the song once the acoustic stuff is over, but this song still just doesn't get me like a lot of the rest on this record. Next up is Red Flag. This is a Slipknot track through and through, and a lot of the old school fellers are going to dig this one for sure. It's fast-paced from the get-go. It's just another nice little jammer. I think probably everyone can agree on this one. What's Next? That's the title of the track. I'm not actually asking what's next. So what's next? This is another one that people are talking shit about. There's too many interludes. I know I said this earlier, but I fucking love the interludes on this album. Like, if Slipknot dropped an all interludes album, I'd be super fucking stoked because I really, really like them. And I feel like this is where Clown really shines as a musical artist. He's got all of his visuals and stuff, but I feel like musically he goes overlooked because people think that he just yells in a microphone or beats on those drums. But he composes a lot of these interludes, if not all of them, and they're fucking solid. If you listen to those by themselves and didn't know that Slipknot was involved and had they just been on some sort of ad or something, you would fucking love them. Probably. They're good. Next up is Spiders. Alright, I know I said earlier that Death Because of Death was the most controversial, but this one has to be a close second if it's not tied. Personally, I fucking love it. It's so fucking weird and so different and not Slipknot, but somehow still Slipknot all at once. It just fucking works. I imagine this is what Mushroomhead wants to sound like, but unfortunately they can't. And I can only imagine they're sitting around cursing Slipknot for this one. Now, the whole premise of this song should come off corny to me. Spiders? Pfft, real cool. What's the next one called? Graveyard? But it's not. It's just a good song. I can't dislike it. It's creepy and vibey and catchy and reminds me of Tim Burton stuff, and it's just really fucking good. I like it. So the next one is Orphan, and this one starts out slow, but when the actual music finally drops, I seriously feel like I'm listening to the Heretic Anthem. The riff and the drums are pretty fucking similar for a second, but it quickly becomes its own song. I really didn't care too much for this song at first, but I listened to an interview with Clown on Spotify, an interview that I would highly, highly recommend checking out. It's just really good. And Clown talks about Orphan and how it came to be, and Corey writing the song, and it just has taken on this new place for me after that. I've really, really come to enjoy it after that interview and more listening. And this song is fucking heavy. For the old school guys, that is for sure. It's a heavy song. Next on the list is My Pain. Now this one I feel very strongly about. Once again, a lot of people aren't going to understand this song, but man, it just feels like an extended interlude, and there's a lot of weird shit happening in here. The actual music and lyrics are creepy as shit. There's extremely repetitive keyboard work mixed with Corey's voice, which leads into even more layers, like a single snare hit on 1 and 3. Eventually, Corey's pronunciation becomes very punctual, and I don't know, there's something about that that just I really enjoy, where he's like, I'm your chain, I'm your lock. Fucking cool. I don't know. Cock. Layers keep coming until eventually the creepy turns into evil, and Corey says you can never give too much, and it just all kind of drowns down and gets louder, and it's real fucking weird. The song itself is already eerie, but it takes a real dark turn after those lyrics are said. Like I said, a lot of people aren't going to understand this song, but that's fine because I understand it, and it is the Slipknot that I want. Next up, we have Not Long for This World. This is Kate's personal favorite. It definitely has some awesome moments. It has my personal favorite moment from the entire album. I've talked a lot about lyrics and delivery, and this is the best example that I can give. There's a breakdown where Corey says, good night, goodbye, good luck. There's nothing worse than a gold manifesto. I'm not impressed though. And holy shit, when he says that, I feel it in my soul. This is a strong song and easy listening for pretty much any Slipknot fan. It's got heavy, it's got melodic, it's catchy. I'd say that if you're a Slipknot fan for any reason, you're going to enjoy this song. It's got you covered. Solway Firth, this is the ending track, and I'm actually not as crazy about this track as everyone else seems to be. I just can't seem to get into it. It's definitely heavy, and it's not a bad song by any means, but nothing really stands out to me so much that I want to listen to it. I will say that my favorite part of the song is the keg hit matched with the alarm sound going off. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I find myself skipping this one when my shuffle is on to get to other songs from the record. So all in all, I will say that this album is fantastic, and I will go ahead and say it. This is my third favorite Slipknot album behind Self-Titled and Iowa. There's a massive lack of guitar solos, which I really feel like used to drive Slipknot. Those first two record cycles, they didn't have any guitar solos, and it made for really, really good songs. Now, I'm not opposed to a good Jim solo every once in a while, but every song doesn't need one, and this album proves that. And I will also say that I like how digital they become. There's a lot of digital stuff on this record. There's even something like borderline dubstep and Not Long for This World, and it fucking works so good. There's definitely something special about this album. I know you guys have heard me say that before, but I'm going to continue saying that until you get it. So I definitely agree with Clown when he says that this thing is a masterpiece, and I also agree with him when he says that he doesn't know if people are ready for it. And for that reason, as I mentioned earlier, I believe that this album is going to go down as one of, if not the most loved and hated Slipknot record ever. So what do you guys think about the album now that it's been out for a bit? Drop a comment and let me know down below. I do always get genuinely curious about this type of thing and would love to hear from you guys. This has been my We Are Not Your Kind review. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it, and until next time, we will see you later.